When we're looking at addiction, one of the areas that we find is the whole issue of impulse control. So when you start breaking that down, when you're looking at the brain, there's usually one particular part of the brain, typically this section of the brain itself, that is mostly involved with being able to put on the brakes or impulse control. However, the other side of the brain actually holds the rules and the laws as when we're going to actually, when to put on the brakes. You know, if this information goes over here slowly, okay, or not at all, okay, when it's happening, we have an impulse control issue. Now, the brain operates from the point of view that there's a carrier signal, and it comes in from a part of the brain called the white matter, which transmits the information to the different parts of the brain. That signal should be somewhere measured, when we look at the signal strength, should be measured right around 10 hertz, 10.5 hertz. For the folks that are experiencing addiction, what we find is the back part of the brain is still roughly right around the 10.5 hertz, just as a typical normal individual. That deals with our response to the environment, that deals with our social engagement issues and challenges and non-challenges, okay? But the front part of the brain is our executive thinking processes. What we find in that population, that measurement's only 7 hertz on the average, 7 to 8 hertz. That means the information coming into the front part of the brain goes slow. So information in the world may be coming in a normal speed, but us to be able to actually respond to it, to think about it, to remember it, it's slow. So 7 hertz difference means if it's not just a blink of an eye, it's like type of response. So by that time, you know, in a simple conversation, you're off and down a different road. One of the things that I hear common is that I know what I want to do. I don't want to relapse. I know that the situation's not good for me, and it didn't even come to mind till afterwards. And that's one of the prime reasons we see. It's an afterthought that comes up. When they actually see the measurements of their brain, you know, the fact that they can't remember anything 20 minutes later that they're told it, okay, because we've measured it, or they find themselves checking out more so than they realize that it's not ADD, but it's an awareness issue. Or we find that their impulse controls because they simply can't hold in mind the rules and laws, is not because they don't have the desire. Okay, all of a sudden, that takes upon another internal perspective for the individual and reinvigorates the desire to actually remain sober.